Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Niranjan Dasar. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss the difference between test scenarios, test cases, and test scripts. First one is test scenarios. Test scenarios are short descriptions of the functionalities that can be tested. Test scenarios are also called as test condition or test possibility. When testing team receives the requirement, they need to write all the possible conditions that can be tested. Let's take a simple example of login functionality. Here I have written two scenarios for a login functionality. First one is to verify that the user is able to log in into application with a valid username and password. So this is a positive scenario. Here I'm trying to validate login functionality. Next scenario is to verify that the error message is displayed when incorrect credentials are entered. This is a negative scenario. I am trying to validate a error message when invalid username or password is entered. So like this, we need to write all the possible test conditions for that particular functionality or the requirement, and those scenarios needs to be reviewed by business team. Now let's see what is test case and how can we write the test case. I will explain how to write test case for the first scenario, that is to verify that the user is able to log in into application with valid username and password. Test cases are detailed step by step information to verify the functionality. Here is an example of the test case. It looks like a table and contains action, data, and expected result. Action is nothing but what we need to do in the application, the steps we need to perform, and data column will contain the data required for that particular action and the expected result. Here, in order to log in into the application, we need to enter the username and password. For these two actions, we need data. Username is required to enter into the username field, and password is required to enter into the password field. Once user entered the username and password, those two fields should be entered. That is what we are expecting here, right? Once we enter the username into the username field, that username field should be filled with username value. That is the expected result here. Next step is we need to click on the submit button. So for clicking on the submit, we don't need any data. So that is why data field is blank here. And once user clicked on the submit, that submit button should be clicked successfully. And once the submit button is clicked, user should be navigate to the home page, and home page should be displayed. This is how we write test cases. Test cases are step by step information. Usually we write actions and expected results in a detailed way. Here, for example, I have just given one or two words, but you need to write enter username in the username field, enter password in the password field. Like that, you need to write a detailed sentences and as many steps as possible. Hope you understand how to write test cases and what is the difference between test cases and test scenarios. Moving on, we'll understand what are test scripts. Test script is a piece of code that is used to test the functionality. Test scripts are usually written by automation engineers. I will show a sample script and explain. This is the script, how it looks like. This is just a sample code. We can write automation scripts in different languages like Java, UFT, etc. So this code is used to execute the functionality. Now you understand how to write test cases, right? So by referring to the test cases, we can execute manually. We can validate the screens and we can enter the data manually into the application. Similarly, test scripts will also do the same thing. They refer the test cases, means automation engineers by write the test script by referring to the test cases, and these test scripts will validate the functionality. So the code which validates the software functionality is called as test script. Hope you understand the difference between test cases and test scripts now. Now it's a time for exercise. I will give you one scenario. Please try to write test scenarios and test cases for this use case. The use case is, as a user, I want to reset my login password with two-factor authentication. Please try to write as many scenarios as possible and try to write test cases for all those scenarios. Please mention the test cases and test scenarios in the comment section. I will try to review them and I will try to give some comments if there are any. That is about test scenarios, test cases, and test scripts. Thank you for watching and let me know if you have any questions in the comment section.